Okay, guys, here's our first mini lesson. The first topic we're going to look at is adding and subtracting fractions. Okay, the rules for adding and subtracting are the same. So you just have to pay attention to which operation they're asking for. Okay, fractions are huge in Algebra 1. People often struggle with them, so this is a really important concept. Okay, don't overlook this. Don't think this is too basic. Super important here as you guys start moving through your Algebra 1 school year. Okay, so the basic rules are this, and I know you've seen this before, but this is definitely worth just reviewing, and we will be looking at this quite a bit here. But if the denominators are the same, here we have two fractions. Now, most of the time, we're going to be working with fractions that are improper. Improper fractions are fractions where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. Okay, and we always leave our fractions as proper or improper. We don't work with mixed numbers, okay? And you want to just always leave your answers in lowest terms, okay? So this is asking for us to subtract these two fractions, and what we notice, and I'm sure you notice, that the denominators are the same, and that's really nice. That's what we want, okay? We can't add or subtract fractions if the denominators are different. Here, they're the same, so that's really helpful, okay? And that makes things a little bit easier. And the basic rule is that you're going to either add or subtract the numerators, the numbers up top, and you keep the denominators the same, okay? So as we take a look at this, I'm going to have 8 minus 3, which is 5, and then I keep the denominator the same, which is 9. And 5 over 9 is in simplest form. It cannot be reduced. There isn't a number that can go into 5 and 9 evenly. And so we're going to leave that as it is. So our final answer here would be 5/9. Okay, so a problem that often occurs is that somebody would get to a number like this and they'll say, okay, I'm taking 5 and I'm subtracting 2/3, and they try to figure it out mentally. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But how would we apply this concept here? Okay, well, 5 is really a fraction. I'm sure you guys know 5 is over 1. So we're going to look at this as 5 over 1 minus 2 over 3. And the issue that we have here is that the denominators are not the same. Okay, I have a 1 and I have a 3. So in order to subtract these two fractions, I need to make the denominators the same. So the least common denominator here between 1 and 3 is 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change this fraction, 5 over 1, to have a denominator of 3 by multiplying the bottom by 3. And you guys have learned, whatever you multiply the bottom by, you have to multiply the top by. Okay, so what we end up getting here is, I'm just going to write it off to the side, 5 times 3 is 15, 1 times 3 is 3, and 2/3 is going to remain 2/3, so I'll bring that over. And now we can apply the rule that we just applied up here. I'm going to be subtracting these two fractions. The denominators are now the same. I'm going to put it underneath so we can get it on the screen. This tells me to subtract the numerators. 15 minus 2 is 13. And we keep the denominator, which is 3. Now again, this is our final answer. When you guys are working with higher level math, which all high school math is going to be higher level math, you want to leave this as a fraction, whether it's proper or improper, but we never make these into mixed numbers and we never make these into decimals, okay? Just because these are the type of numbers that we often use in high school math. Okay, so these are good habits to get into. Okay, so let's take a look at two more here. Okay, they're going to be a little bit different. We take a look at number 3, and we see here that we're adding two fractions and the denominators are not the same. So I have to determine between 6 and 2, what is the lowest common denominator? What number can I make 6 and 2 so that they are the same? Well, the answer there is 6. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the bottom here by 3 and the top by 3. Okay, so what we get is 5/6 plus 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6. So now the denominators are the same, so that means I can add the numerators. 5 plus 3 is 8, and I keep the denominator, okay? Now, earlier when we began the session, we said that you always want to leave your final answer in lowest terms, and 8 over 6 is not. 8 and 6 can both be divided by 2 evenly, so I'm going to take this down further. I'm going to divide the top by 2, and I'm going to divide the bottom by 2. So I get 4 over 3, and that is our final answer for number 3. Okay, so let's move on to number 4. We'll take a look at number 4. Now this one, if you notice, the ones above that didn't have common denominators, we were just able to multiply one of the fractions, okay, in order to find the common denominator. This one is a little bit more complicated, okay? I'm looking for an LCD between 7 and 2. And for this one, I can't make my 2 a 7, and I can't make my 7 a 2. So actually my lowest common denominator here is 14. I'm going to make both these denominators 14 by multiplying the bottom here by 2 and the top here by 2, the bottom here by 7, and the top here by 7. So what we get for this first fraction would be 6 over 14 plus 7 over 14. And now the denominators are the same, so I can add these fractions together, and I get 13 over 14. That is in lowest terms. I cannot break that down any further. And that's how we add and subtract fractions.